Hey folks, today we're going to talk about volume of prisms and cylinders. Just to remind you that a prism has, oops, I can't say that. Okay, make a copy. There we go. A prism is a shape, either rectangular or triangular, something that has rectangles in it. Okay, there's a rectangular prism. There's a triangular prism. In both of them, we have the rectangle as part of the shape. A cylinder has two circles, and they look like ovals here, and two lines. So we have prisms and cylinders, and they're going to use the same formula for volume. So the volume is V equal B times H, and that's a capital B times H. The big B stands for the area of the base. Area of the base. So let's see. And the H, this H right here, stands for the height of the figure. So the height of the figure. So we're going to use the same formula for the three shapes that we're going to talk about today. So let's go on to the first one. A rectangular prism. Notice I've got an example over here. First thing we're going to do, and we're going to do this for all of them, so I'm going to just mark out rectangular prism. I'm going to say prisms and cylinders. In general, identify the base. Calculate the area of the base. Well, rectangular area is length times width. On triangle, we'll talk about that in a minute. And then on circle, we know the circle is pi r squared. Identify the height of the figure, and then multiply the area that you found up here times the height. Okay? So let's go look at an example. Here's the one I have on that previous slide. So number one, what is the base? In this case, it could be A times B, because I've got two of them, the top and the bottom. I'm going to call A and B. A times B. Let me erase the and put a times. A times B. Number two, calculate the area. Equals A times B, which equals 17.5 times 20.6. And I don't have a calculator, do I? Yes, I do. So 17.5 times 20.6, y'all probably already have the answer before I even get my calculator on. 17.5 times 20.6, I get 360.5. So number three, the height. I misspelled height. T and then an H. Is C, because it's how high, how tall the prism is. and that is 29 meters. So then I take step 4, multiply the area. That's all I do in another letter. Area is big B times the height. So big B is 360.5 times the height, which is 29. So I take and multiply times 29. I get volume equal to 10,454.5. And notice how many meters are there? There are 3. So I have meter to the 3rd power. Not so bad, huh? So we could say for a rectangular prism, volume equals length, width, height. And that's probably what you remember back in elementary and middle school. Volume was length times width times height. But now we have to throw in a triangular one. But I want you to try this one. Practice this one. Number 1, what is your base? I'm going to say my base is A and B again. Here's A and B. So I have 2 of them. My front and my back. A times B. And it's laying on its side, so I would have to turn it up. I'd have to rotate it up to get off its side. So number 2, I would multiply 59 times 13. So 59 times 13 equals 700. So big B equals 767. Step 3, what is my height? Height equals C, which equals 13. So step 4, big B times H equals 767 times 13. I get 9,971 cubic kilometers equals the volume. Okay, so let's go on to the next problem. And there's the bell for the next class. We're going to look at a triangular prism. Triangular prism. Now this is like a rectangular prism, except that it's got a triangle right here and right here. On a rectangular prism, we had all rectangles. But on a triangular prism, we have two triangles. So a triangular prism has 2 triangles. So we have to deal with the triangles first. I'm going to make a copy of the triangle right here because that's important. Here's the height. Change colors on me. Here's the height. This is A. This is C. So what we're looking at is for the area of the base, the big B, we're going to use A and C only. So these are going with the big B. This is the height of the prism. So we just identified our two main parts. So the big B is 1/2 B times H. Oh, that's confusing. That means I've got two H's in the problem. No, not if you remember this. This H is the height of the triangle. And this little b is the base of the triangle. Okay, so here we go. So big B, and I'm going to rewrite it a little bit differently. Okay, so where we were about to plug in and find the other formula for area of a triangle. It is base times height divided by 2. Either one works. Okay, so here we go. A is our height of our, I'm going to use purple, height of our triangle. And C is the base of our triangle. So I'm going to plug those into my formula. Big B equals, and I like this formula better, so I'm going to use it, 12 times 2.62 divided by 2. And I plug that into my calculator. Twelve times 2.62 divided by 2. I get 15.72. And that's equal to big B. That's the area of my triangle. So now I'm going to take big B and find volume. Volume equals big B times H. So I'm going to take the 15.72 times the height of my prism, which is 12. So times 12, and I get 188.64 cubic yards. Okay. So that's how we find it on a triangular prism. A little bit more involved, but not much. So let's move on to the next one. Let's try the next one without any interruptions. This one we have a right triangular prism. In this case, I'm still going to draw my triangle. I'm going to circle it. There's my triangle. And I'm going to redraw it. And here's my right angle. Here's A, and here's C. What are the only letters dealing with my triangle? A and C. A is which one's my height and which one's my base. It doesn't matter because they're both touching in the right angle. So I can name this one my base and this one my height of the triangle. So that leaves the 2, the height of the prism. That's supposed to be a P. There we go. So big B is equal to 8.26 times 13 divided by 2. So 8.26 times 13 divided by 2. 8.26 divided by, times 13 divided by 2. 53.69. So now I take and multiply times, to get the volume, I multiply big B times the H of the prism. So 53.69 times 2, I get 107.38. And how many yards do I have? I have 3. And I multiply them all together, so I have yards to the third power, or cubic yards. Okay. So that's the triangular prisms. Let's talk about cylinders. Cylinders are next. On cylinders, we have circles. We have circles to deal with. So the area of the base is pi r squared. And then the height of the prism, of the cylinder, is how tall the cylinder is when you stand it up on its base. So this one's an easy one. I'm going to leave it in terms of pi. That means I'm not going to multiply by pi. So I'm going to equal 1 squared times pi. 1 squared is 1. So my big B is equal to pi, or 1 pi if you really want to have the 1 in there. Then my volume is going to equal to pi times 15, which is equal to 15 pi. Wait a minute, how many inches are there? Okay, let's count. I have 2 here and 1 here. I had 2 right here. I squared it. And then 1 right there. So how many inches are there? There are 3. 3 inches. If I wanted to work that out, I would just multiply 15 times pi and get the actual volume. But for just notes, we can leave it like that. Okay? Let's look at this one. So my formula says, big B says I need pi r squared. I have a what right here? A is a what? A is a diameter. So I need to take and cut A in half. So 39.2 divided by 2 is 19.6. So then I take 19.6 squared times pi. Square it, enter. 384.16 times pi, and that's my big B. To find the volume, I take and multiply my big B times my H. That would be my height right here. So I take 384.16 pi times 57.1. So times 57.1. Enter. I get 21,935.5 pi cubic feet. Okay, so let's recap. If we're looking at using our formulas, a rectangular prism volume equals, we could know is V equals big B times H. That's the easy one. But for rectangular, it's L, W, H. That's what you learned a long time ago. For triangular prisms, it's V equals BH over 2 times height of the prism. And for cylinders, it's V equals pi R squared times height. It looks like 3 different formulas. It is, but it's all one formula because you're changing the area of the base. Okay. Good luck. If you have any questions, let me know.